Hello everyone, this is the video of subject Legal Studies Class 12, Unit 4, that is Human Rights in India. Chapter Constitutional Framework and Related Laws in India. And the subchapter that is we are dealing with is Directive Principles of State Policy. Now, do you know the short form of Directive Principles of State Policy? Just remember as DPSP. Okay? Yeah, so now we'll see the meaning of DPSP. What does it actually mean? Okay, Articles 36 to 51 in Part 4 of the Constitution lay down the guiding principles of the governance for the state that are called as Directive Principles of the State Policy. In short, it is also known as DPSP. It is the 15 guidelines or principles which is given to the federal institutions governing the state of India. The principles have been inspired by the directive principles which are given in the Constitution of the Ireland, which are related to social justice, economic welfare, foreign policy and legal and administrative matters. Now we move forward with the major features of directive principles. What are the features? You can see on the screen. It is the duty of the state to apply these principles in making laws and policies on social and human development. Second is not enforceable by any court. DPSPs are largely of the nature of economic and social rights. Thirdly comes is the provisions of the directive principles. They are not enforceable by any court of the law, but they provide the guidance in carrying out and drafting the laws and the policies regarding the human and the social development. Fourthly, Supreme Court has raised the status of many provisions of the directive principles to that of the fundamental rights by suggesting that they violate one's right to life. That is Article 21. I hope you remember. The next is the directive principles aim at promoting the welfare of the people. They intend to secure and protect social and economic and political justice of its citizens. These principles endeavor to minimize the income inequalities and to eliminate inequalities based on status, facilities, and opportunities among both the individuals and the groups of people. Now we'll move forward with the classification of directive principles. How could they be classified? So they can be categorized as the economic and social principles, the Gandhian principles, the principles and policies which are relating to international peace and security, and miscellaneous. So let's discuss each of them in a detail. The first comes is the economic and the social principles. Under this heading, the DPSP's guidelines, they state that each state shall endeavor to achieve the social and the economic welfare of the people by providing adequate means of livelihood without any gender discrimination. Secondly, securing equal pay for equal work for both men and women. Third is securing suitable employment and healthy working conditions for the men, women and children. And fourth, the making effective provisions for securing the right to work, education and public assistance in the case of unemployment, old age, sickness and disablement. The fifth comes is setting up the economic system in such a way that it can avoid the concentration of wealth in few hands, guiding the children against exploitation and moral degradation, making provisions for securing just and human conditions of work for maternity relief, promoting education and economic interests of working sections of the people, especially like SCs and STs, making efforts to raise the standard of living and public health, and lastly, providing early childhood care and education to all the children until they complete the age of the 6 years. Now we'll move with the Gandhian principles. What are the Gandhian principles? Does anyone know what did Gandhiji say? Okay, so let's get started with it. The following principles are based on the ideals which are advocated by the Mahatma Gandhi. First is to organize the village panchayats. Secondly, to promote the cottage industries in rural areas. Thirdly, to prohibit intoxicating drinks and drugs that are injurious to health. Fourthly, to preserve and improve the breeds of the cattle and prohibit slaughter of cows, calves and other milch and draught animals. Next one is DPSP is related to international peace and security. India should render the active cooperation for the world peace and security, and for that the state should endeavor to promote the international peace and security, maintain the honorable relations with the other state nations. Third is to respect the international laws and treaty obligations. fourth is to encourage the settlements of international disputes by the mutual agreement. Now the last one is about the miscellaneous. What could be in miscellaneous? See, following are the guidelines of the DPSPs. So, what are the guidelines? Guidelines are to secure the uniform civil code, to protect the historical monuments, to save the environment from pollution and protect the wildlife. Last but not the least, to make the arrangements for disbursement of the free legal justice through suitable legislations. Besides, the Supreme Court has raised the status of some of the provisions of DPSPs to that of the fundamental rights by suggesting that they also violate the one's right to life, that is Article 21. Let's understand with this an example. For example, prior to 2002, elementary education for children between the age 6 and 14 was a policy goal provision in the directive principles of the state policy, which the Supreme Court raised to the status of the fundamental rights, affirming that depriving one from education amounts to depriving one's right to life, that is Article 21 fundamental right. Accordingly, right to education for ages 6 to 14 is now the part of the fundamental right. Some other prominent examples is that right to livelihood, which is directive principle often read with the right to life as a fundamental right. Supreme Court has often directed the state to rehabilitate the slum dwellers whenever they are evicted on the grounds of the encroachments. Eviction without rehabilitation closer to their workplace, it amounts to violation of their right to livelihood and in turn the right to life. So this is all about the video. Take care and stay safe. Thank you.